Live, man. We back, man.
It's my song, man. Love that song.
We back.
Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast. It's your main man, the host with the most, the man with the plan, the guy that made him cry, Mr. Eric McLoyd. I got my co-captain here, Mr. Big Stu. What's popping, Big Stu?
Peace, man. I'm feeling good on this Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good, man. Feeling really, really good today. I've been burning the midnight oil.
Okay.
I've been up since like 1:30 this morning. Laid down for about an hour and a half. So I'm off pure adrenaline and feeling good, man.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad to hear that, especially with this current COVID-19 situation that we got going on out here.
Yeah.
I got some interesting statistics. I'm going to drop this one. So according to the last census, there's 65.8 Gen X people in the United States. And from what now I want to get your thoughts on this. What I've been reading on social media, it appears that Gen X is handling the quarantine situation better than everyone else.
I need you to clarify that statistic again. All you said was 65.8 Gen Xers. Tell me the whole stat. Give me the number.
All right. So 65.8 million Gen Xers. This was done back in 2018. And according to the statistics, stats that I have here, 70% of all Generation X people in that group are saying that they're all good with the quarantine situation.
Oh, they feeling good.
They say they're good. They're built for it. They said, we're the latchkey kids, the people who were neglected while we were growing up, and this is nothing. We got to fade it. What do you think? Is that true? Is that complete nonsense? People are doing a thing on Twitter. It's a trending topic right now. Gen X is holding it down.
Gen X, it sounds about right. It would make sense. And I would fall into that. I feel like I'm good. I feel like I'm pretty good. I'm here for it, I watched enough Walking Dead episodes to be ready for a little taste. So I'm ready for it.
You like Walking Dead, okay? I never was able to get into that.
I don't necessarily. I wasn't a fan of it, but I've seen enough of it to realize that I was built for it. So,
okay,
come on, we here with it. Yeah, we good, man.
We here.
How about you? How you feel? Are you a part of that?
You know what? I feel like I've been doing okay during the situation. I do. I was telling you earlier in our pregame conversation, I like listening to Dame Dash, and he had his video out last week where he was talking about how right now what we all need, and this is stating the obvious, but I think people need to hear it. Right now, everybody needs to be trying to figure out, how can I continue to get money while I'm in the house? Right? We can't go outside. Some people like him, I think he has diabetes, so he's like in our very high risk category. Yep. But all of us, we're all in the house. How can we keep our money flow continuing to move forward?
Yeah. That's a real thing, brother. That's a real thing, man. So you talk about, and for me, this was like, I've always felt like time is one of the most precious commodities that you could have. You give me time and you give me a notepad and some Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You give me enough time.
Yeah.
And I'll build the whole nation, man. I'll bring it. So having time confined, everything kind of slowing down is allowing me to focus on, multiple streams of revenue without ever having to leave the crib, as least as possible. I'm here for it. Okay. I'm here for it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what do you feel like your biggest challenge is, though, being in the house? Is it a challenge at all for you?
Yeah. I got rich people problems, Eric. I got rich people problems. I play that game a lot. My challenge is that I'm not looking at the Pacific Ocean and some mountains, man. My challenge is I can't walk out to a beach right now and put my feet in the sand or get on the yacht. That's like
Okay.
You know, my problems is just not getting enough vitamin D, man.
Got you.
You know,
rich people problems. Okay.
Yeah, man. I'm good, man. I'm still got seeds out here, man. Like this is it right here, man. I'm with family. I'm get to work. I get to produce this amazing content. Think about the future generations. Lay down the blueprint, man. Come on, man.
Okay. I feel like I'm in a similar category. One of my biggest issues is I'm over here cutting my own hair. Looks pretty rough, right? And yo, shout out to my barber, Maurice George. This haircut has nothing to do with Maurice George at all. This is something that I had to do out of complete necessity. So I'm walking around crazy, but I have to do what I have to do. Again, shout out to Maurice. We're gonna connect as soon as possible when we're able to. But yeah, I feel like I've been doing okay. I would think that I would feel a little more of that cabin fever situation, but I haven't really felt it yet. I don't really like working from home per se. I like to work out of an office situation, but it's been cool. It's been cool.
I remember you saying that you kind of want to get out the crib a little bit.
Yeah, it'd be nice to just get out the crib to work, but it's been okay. Now I wonder how these other groups. So everybody's saying Gen X is holding it down. I wonder what it is that they're seeing from the baby boomers and the millennials that make them feel that they're not holding it down, like they're not handling it well.
Man, I think about my mom a lot, man. My mom's a boomer, you know what I mean? And she, man, I haven't been to see her, you know what I mean? I try to talk to her every day, but I try not to worry, but I think about, I hope they're okay, mentally, because it starts to, get into a mental thing, man. So I know the Gen X's, millennials and them Gen Zs, they like Corona. What? Like what? We not thinking about none of this stuff, man. So
they're still going out and all hanging out and everything.
Man, forget the Corona. We in here. You know what I mean?
That is happening. That is definitely happening. And it's funny because when the Corona situation first started coming out, it's interesting how we went from Black people can't get it. Right. And I was one of the people saying that. I mean, I'm not really embarrassed to say that. I was like, we straight, we're not going to get it. But now we've gone from that to Black people are now, it seems like the main group that's not only getting the virus, but passing away from it. And so I wonder, so that's definitely affecting the boomers. But I wonder, like, from the millennial mindset, how concerned? I guess they're not that concerned based on what we just said, but the reality is we're being hit the hardest, it seems like.
Yeah, it seems like we went from Black people can't get it to the NBA cancel. Oh, it might be serious.
Yeah.
Having a whole State of the Union for Black people on it with Killer Mike and Van Jones is like we're being targeted. So I still do think it's a mind thing. I went out yesterday for a little bit, and it's a little eerie to see all these people with gloves and face masks on and talking about give me my 6 feet. And, it's like everybody.
Somebody said that to you?
Oh, no, but I witnessed it. I witnessed a lady go off on a dude like, you out here, you ain't got no mask on, give me my 6 feet. I witnessed it. I saw with my own 2 eyes like, oh, man, the anxiety levels are high, man. Like, it's crazy. Crazy out here, man.
So when you go out, do you go outside? Do you wear a mask when you go out?
I'm silly.
I'm gonna say this first. I saw a video you did the other day. You were in a car, but you didn't have a mask on. I know some people are doing the car and the mask in the car thing, but are you doing the mask?
I'm a rebel, man. I'm out here with no mask sometimes, man. Like I don't have the real one. I don't have the one that's going. I haven't done a lot of extensive research. It's like the masks don't help. The masks help. Like if I don't have the right one, I had a mask on a little bit yesterday, Friday. I went out. I had a mask on, but I was like, this is stupid. So I took it off.
Okay, I took it. Yeah, I'm wearing the mask.
You have an official one? You have what kind of mask are you wearing? You wearing the N-94 or you wearing a bandana from when you was breakdancing in 1988?
Well, I think that's what's going to come through. Right now, I got one of the semi-official ones that they first came out with. But yeah, I'm gonna have to make the homemade one soon because that one is on E, man. You know, you can't wear the mask 100 days in a row and all that. It its purpose at that point. So my mask is on E right now, and I'm gonna watch one of these videos on how to make a homemade mask. I guess. I mean, I'm gonna have to.
You're gonna have you a Louis Vuitton mask. It's like. So
I'm gonna cut out one of these polo shirts and add a polo shirt, something like that. But yeah,
right.
So
how often do you go out, E? How often are you going outside, man?
I go outside typically once every other day. So that's a walk around the neighborhood real quick, or that's a trip to the store and get in and out as soon as possible. I come back in and take a shower immediately and continue on with my day.
The store is high risk.
High risk. Super high. Because, hey, man, I'm going to tell you something. In certain parts, as you may have seen, like certain parts of Chicagoland, they're not taking it as seriously as other parts. So, you might be in a certain area with extremely high risk. Nobody has a mask on. Everybody's close. They want to hold a conversation. It's rough. It's rough, man.
Man, you out here getting judged for having a cough. For the record, I have asthma. I have bronchitis. I've been coughing for years. So I know I done got a couple dirty lips. I don't want to cough if I'm out in public. If I'm out in public, I'm swallowing all of them coughs, brother. No, sir.
Yeah.
You will not attack me.
That's right.
For my asthmatic cough that I've had for the last 15 years.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, and I'm starting to get a lot of dirty looks. Real quick, shout out to Alonzo Mitchell, Eric.
That's my man.
Yeah, thank you for showing up on the podcast. But I'm getting a lot of dirty looks sometimes now for some reason when I have the mask on, like I'm the one that got it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know when that started. People looking at me like I'm specifically the one that got it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I did lose a little bit of weight. Maybe I look sickly or something. I don't know, but I'm like, wow, I'm the one that got it. Not that I couldn't get it, but man, nah. So that it's a lot of that going on. I'm sure too.
If you didn't feel judged before, go out right now during the COVID-19 lockdown.
Absolutely, man.
You will be judged based on your mask or no mask. Gloves or no gloves?
Yeah.
Why are you outside? Are you essential worker? People got questions, man.
People got questions and they deserve an answer, man. Did you see that speech that they got on Facebook of President Obama when he was warning in 2014 that something like this could happen?
Yeah. I saw that.
Yeah, that was
warnings.
That was interesting.
Matter of fact, I'm looking of it's a park behind my house. Some cats playing basketball. This look nice outside, but you like no. That's where I live, brother.
It's crazy.
Corona, what?
Yeah, man. These young, hey, I'm telling you, they're out here skateboarding, holding conversations face to face, all that. So yeah, it's not good, man. It's not good. So so you're saying you're cool. I'm basically saying I'm okay. Yeah. The people in your circle, how do you think people are kind of holding up on the mental health tip right now? I know tensions are high. A lot of people are not able to go to work. It's probably unclear whether at some point, is a person going to get laid off? I know people are waiting on their stimulus check from the IRS. How are people holding up out there, Stu?
Well, I know a few people that on the record deal with some clinically diagnosed mental health issues.
Okay.
And they both happen to be in that millennial Gen X group. And one of them flat out called me about a little over a week ago, and having a panic attack.
Oh, that's not good.
And she was saying that her issue right now is that she is forced because she can't go nowhere, can't be with her friends. She is forced to deal with herself.
Oh, wow. That's something right there. Okay.
Right?
That's deep, man.
That is very, very deep. And it was real. It wasn't one of these conversations where he's like, pull your shit together, you'll be all right. No. In her head, her reality was, I don't want to deal with me and my issues because I got some real issues.
Have you ever heard a young person tell you that before? Or
never in my life.
So that reminds me of someone that I met many, many moons ago. We were in a very wild and violent environment at the time, but my reaction to that was to kind of be still. His reaction, he was a lot younger. His reaction when he was in everything that was happening. And I remember he came to sit beside me and I was like, yo, why are you like all over the place? And he said to me, because I don't want to sit in my own thoughts. And I never forgot that. And he actually looked like he was about to tear up. And I was like that scared him to death that he might have to sit in his own thoughts. And I had never heard anybody say anything like that.
But you did hear somebody say that, E.
Who's that?
Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah, he has said something like that. Yeah, no doubt.
He said he feel like a bee. He had to get out his own thoughts.
Yeah, he did.
He saying his own thoughts. He bringing hell with him.
Yeah, he was. He meant it too. He
was crying.
Yeah,
remember?
Yeah, he definitely meant that. Yeah, that's kind of. I don't know. I still feel that's so strange to hear, but it was real. It was a real comment. I guess it's strange for me because I'm always sitting in my thoughts. I have to pull myself out of my thoughts.
Well, isn't that what he said? He doesn't even want to get into his thoughts because it's too dark, it's too heavy, it's too. So, my point is, in pointing that out, is like I understand. I think I'm a good dude, and sometimes I have dark thoughts. I'll be let me redirect my mind. You know what I mean? So it depends on how easy or not easy. Isn't that what? I used to think that depression was something you could get over, but I later realized, like, no, it's a real thing, man. Like, people have to struggle with their own, mindset, their own, right? Like their own.
Yeah. I don't think I ever realized it until I was actually depressed myself. And then you're like, like you said, you can't just shake this off. Because I think in our generation, I think this is a generational thing. And Gen X, it's like, yo, just get over it. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's baby boomers too, but it's like I feel like we didn't have the luxury to keep going around saying, I don't feel good. I've never even said out of my mouth to somebody I was depressed. I think this might be the first time I ever said that to a person, right? But it's just not a normal thing. But I hear people saying that more now. Like, is that something that you had expressed when you were younger to people?
No, not when I was younger. But I think, to your point, even as black men, like black men, you can't identify with. It's hard to identify with your true feelings, true emotions. So, I could see how we cannot want to identify and find ourselves in places. And what's the term? It's such an easy term when you sit in denial. You sit in denial,
Yeah. So, is it denial though? Is it denial or just an unwillingness to share?
Well, the unwillingness to share is like a choice. I mean, that's a choice, right? I mean, you could choose not to share. You don't have to share, but denying your emotions, like denying how you feel, or like sweeping it under the rug, like letting it boil over, and then in your mind you're depressed but won't admit it till after. It's like, that's denial. That's the difference between denying some shit and making a choice to say, I own it, I have it, I deal with it. To me, those seem to be two different things. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you totally. I also feel like sometimes we don't know what depression is, especially maybe now we do, but when we were younger, not sure I knew that what I was feeling was depression. Or what's the other thing? The PTSD.
Oh yeah.
I always heard that and referred that to people who were in the military, and I learned when I was older, there were situations that I had been through where I think it was PTSD, but I mean, again, that wasn't talked about.
Not at all.
PTSD, like I didn't start hearing that until I started watching movies or something, later on. Like as a child, PTSD, depression, I wasn't having those conversations.
Eric Collapsar, my man Collapsar from WHPK says he thinks it's denial in his opinion.
Okay. I could feel that. I mean, I'm sure that's the case with most people, denial, unwillingness to accept that you're depressed or something is going on. I could see that.
Yeah. Hey, y'all, you are listening to the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast with Eric McLoyd.
Yes, sir.
And me, your man, Big Stu.
Big Stu.
Yep. This is Eric's baby, and I'm helping to raise it.
Yes, you are.
What you call him? I'm the godfather of it. I'm the uncle.
Absolutely.
The uncle to the Money, Sex, Gen X.
No doubt.
Conversation.
You helped me take it from an idea to a real thing, and this is a beautiful experience.
Hey, listen, getting back to this mental health thing, brother. Why is it so hard for us to talk about difficult things?
What we don't want to be judged. We don't want to. I believe it's because we don't want the judgment from other people. Also, for people like myself, I feel like we always wanted to feel like we had it together and didn't want to show any weakness or perceived weakness or vulnerabilities by sharing certain things.
Is that and I'm jumping all the way to like mental health. Is that a form of mental? Is that some sort of clinical something? The fact that not wanting to be judged, is it? Is it a fear? Is it because in one breath we talk about we don't give a shit about what people think about us, but then another breath we saying we care about what everybody is thinking about us.
Yeah, I think we all care to some extent. One thing I want to do right now, I want to shout out this organization that I saw on Instagram that I follow, and maybe you've seen it, called Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health. Are you familiar with them?
That's my man, Law Willis.
Okay, no doubt. So bringing that back to this conversation, I mean, I just feel like it wasn't cool to have those conversations, and so we didn't have them. But I don't know. I'm starting to think it's becoming trendy or acceptable to say you're having mental health issues.
Oh, it's cool now, huh?
Well, I wouldn't. Maybe not. Maybe cool is not a good word, but it's a social norm now to hear that type of thing from a person. I think those organizations like Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health are starting to help in that regard, I think.
Oh, it's called Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health.
Yeah, Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health. They're on Instagram. I forget the brother's name who started it, but he's from Chicago. And he's been very good, it looks like, at bringing in all different groups of people to have these conversations about mental health.
Yeah, I think his name is it FFE. How do you spell coffee? COF.
FE. Yeah.
The 2 F's or 2 E's?
I think it's 2 F's, 2 E's, I think.
Jesus. Law Willis. I think that's my man, Law Willis. He used to teach at Chicago State with me, and then he moved out to San Diego to pursue his doctorate degree.
Oh, okay.
He has a brand called Albert Ray Clothing.
Albert Ray, okay.
Yeah, check him out. What's up, Win Coco? We got somebody chiming in all the way from Southeast Asia.
Wow.
Southeast Asia. What's up, Win?
Welcome, Win. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, share it, man. Spread it. Start a watch party over there, man.
Definitely. Like, comment, share. So we're talking here. I'm talking to my main man, Big Stu, about mental health. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into this. Stu, what do you feel like your mental health was 10 years ago, would you classify it as being good, great, poor?
We just talked about this in the pregame, man. Listen, I'm biased towards myself. I'm always going to try to make myself, look like the best in the best light possible, right? That goes back to this whole thing about always trying to say, oh, I'm good, everything good, not wanting to tap into what's not good. But I don't know how to really answer that question. I want to say my mental health was good, but there are some areas in my life, in my mind that are like really, really damaged, bro. Like need some real therapy. You know what I mean? And I seek therapy. I seek therapy regularly. You know what I mean?
In what form?
A therapist, a pastor, and then other experts in other areas of my life. Because I think that mental question you're talking about, E, is complex. It's mentality about money. It's the mentality about sex. It's the mentality about, ageism or, getting older. It's the mentality about, social acceptance. It's the mentality about being a father or, so it's all of these different areas. So I want to say overall pretty good because I haven't been sent. I almost said some terrible things, but I haven't had to check myself into a mental facility. You know what I mean? Okay. I don't abuse alcohol. I don't abuse, any drug of any kind. You know what I mean? I'm not abusive, physically abusive to anyone around me.
Right.
I wonder about the mental stuff though. Like the mind boy does some crazy things to you, man. You can be manipulative. The lies that come out of my mouth sometimes, even today, like omission is a lie, in my opinion. So
no question.
How we skew pictures, the spin we put on stuff.
Right.
And
we all do it. We all do it. I had this thing that I used to always say, which is we all lie, but we all lie about different things. We all lie about something. Many people I've encountered, I think they lie to themselves a lot. They might not lie out of their mouths, but they lie to themselves. And that's a big lie to tell. And we probably have all lied to ourselves at some point, but that's a big thing to lie about or lie to yourself.
Especially like what about in your relationship? Like I was just talking about this the other day. Like anytime we start the conversation, like you ain't never, well, I ain't never. As soon as you say the I ain't never, the never part.
Yeah.
It's like, here we go for the juxtaposition right here. Like that's
You're starting to lie right now. Yeah, that's the start of the lie many times. But even the fact that we feel we have to quickly say, no, I haven't done anything. What's that about? Like, so you might say, have you ever been dead broke or something? No, not me. Why do we feel the need to rush and go out there like that, knowing it's probably not the truth?
It's something in our minds. It's something in our psychosis that makes us want to defend ourselves, defend our person. Maybe it's our innate natural defense mechanism. Like always trying to defend our ego so our ego doesn't get bruised.
Oh, you think it's an ego thing? Okay, I can roll with that. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I wonder what else it is. Is it fear? I think fear may come into play a little bit. I'm afraid of what you might think of me if I tell you the truth.
The feeling, right? Yeah.
Because I can't control what you think after I tell you something. You might have compassion. You might try to judge me. You might use the information against me. I don't know. That's a crapshoot that I think a lot of people don't want to take that gamble.
My man Mike Tyler say natural instinct. So I wonder, does Mike mean, what's up, Mike? I wondered, do you mean natural instinct to the point, oh, well, okay, nothing you can do about it, just roll with it? Or is it something that we should be aware of and work to get control over? Is that part of life's purpose, to control certain parts of these natural instincts? Like, all right, is it too deep?
Yeah.
Is there a too deep?
I think so.
You think there's a too deep?
I think there's things that are too deep to get into with other people. Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
I feel that way. Yeah, too deep. Just like if I came to you and said, "Hey, man, if you tell me your worst romantic relationship, tell me what really happened." Are you going to tell me everything? Are you going to give me all the pertinent points? Or are you going to just tell me the version that is safe? Even if you say, I did some stuff wrong, but no, the real stuff that you did that was horrible. You know what I mean? Like, are you going to tell another human being that that's kind of unsafe maybe for people. I have people in my circle, they appear to be telling you the raw what happened, but I always still know they're holding something.
It's called that other person's perspective.
That other person's perspective and them deciding what's good to share and what's not.
Yeah, I didn't tell you that part. I didn't tell you that part. Right. I just told the part that was that I was offended. I didn't tell you about where I offended.
Absolutely. Or maybe I just told you a piece of it. I didn't tell you the worst thing that I did, in the situation. So yeah, that's out there. Now you mentioned therapy a little bit earlier. So I myself have definitely participated in therapy, and it started after a relationship that had gone very badly. And so me and the woman, we went to therapy together in trying to figure it out and work it out. We couldn't work it out. It was, how sometimes they say it's too late. So it was too late. And then I ended up, the therapist even basically kind of told me like, you all need to try to move on, basically in a professional way, right? And so then I started having the therapy one-on-one. That changed my life.
Okay.
That changed my entire life, because what that professional helped me to do is to start focusing on my own behavior. Everything before that was like, she did this and she did that, and she was like, Eric, that's fine, whatever she did, but can we focus on you? And she used to give me this exercise where she would make me focus on something very specific in the room. And like, say you got a ceiling fan. I'm looking at the ceiling fan right now. She would be like, I want you to take a moment and count the pieces of the ceiling fan and then come back to the conversation. And it made me like get in the moment. And that was invaluable. If there's anybody out there that's considering therapy, or, you don't know, you're not sure, if you find a really good therapist, it could be life-changing. And for whatever reason, I know people who go to therapy about money. Like, it's not always relationship based. Some people be like, yo, I need to get my money up. I'm going to a therapist.
I go to a therapist about my money.
Okay. That's good. That's good to hear. There's nothing wrong with it, brother. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah. I know why you laughing, but it's all good, man. It's necessary, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you break your leg, you'd go to therapy for rehab for that leg to make that leg heal. So yeah, it's not just relational therapy. Some people have to have therapy for food addiction or sex addiction or alcohol addiction. They need therapy. So yeah, you gotta. I strongly recommend therapy. Even
have you ever had a therapist that wasn't good?
If I ever had a what?
Have you ever had a therapist that was not good?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you've experienced both sides.
Yeah. The therapist was good, but just not for me.
Gotcha.
I knew the therapist prior to that individual being my therapist.
Okay.
And so it was like, nah, I never felt that it was unbiased. I always felt like it was biased, like they had a previous experience. They knew me, you know what I mean? Versus, and maybe, and now that I've talked about it with you, maybe that probably was a good thing. Maybe it wasn't them, it was me. Maybe it's because they did know me. Maybe I was more adverse to that experience because I couldn't hide something.
Right.
As you just brought that out right now, like
couldn't hide it.
maybe it was some stuff I couldn't hide, and I felt like, wait a minute, you shouldn't be able to use that against me. You're supposed to not know me. You're supposed to let me tell the story.
Exactly.
Like, nah, I know you. I know you. This is why it's good. And as of this moment right now, that may have been why I was resistant to that.
I can relate to that.
In the wrong way.
I can relate to that totally. You all are rocking with the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast. If you are enjoying this conversation, please like, comment, share. I'm doing a Facebook Live. I got my Uncle Carl on there. What's up, Uncle? Got my brother Lamont. What's up, Lamont? My main man, Pimp C from out there. Betty, Nelson, Joshua McClinton. If you all like this convo, like, comment, share. Please feel free to join in the conversation. We got Eric Caldwell, who made a great point about the fact that he's done therapy, and he says the stillness of the mind also helps. Wow.
That makes sense.
So, I would imagine that some people have never had stillness of the mind.
And wonder, is that meditation?
I don't know. I think that could look a little different for everybody, but I'm not sure. I know what it looks like for me. I have to tell myself sometimes to stop thinking.
How do you do that? How do you stop thinking?
I sit there in a meditative pose or whatever, and I just think of the color black. I just close my eyes and see the color black, and that makes me stop and just focus on nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
And what happens while you're not focused on anything? Where you're focused on nothing, what's happening?
I begin to feel this sense of calmness, but eventually my mind will begin to drift again. But I'm able to capture that moment for maybe 2 or 3 minutes where I'm just seeing black and know if I am getting a thought, like pushing that thought out real quick. It helps.
Stillness, clarity.
Clarity, stillness, it's a powerful thing. Do you have your own techniques to achieve the same thing?
Well, I try my hand in meditation. I'm not as consistent as I once was, but I do, and I desire to get back to it like full on. I was doing 15 minutes a day, 3 to 5 days a week at one point for a number of months at a time. Mm-hmm. And then I haven't really done it in about a year, but I try to. Meditation would be my choice. I'd want to sit and meditate, clear your mind. I use Deepak Chopra.
You like Deepak too?
I like Deepak, yeah. So he gives the various mantras and
that helped me too. Did you read what he has called the 7 Laws of Spiritual Happiness?
I don't think so. Nah.
Game changer.
Deepak.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people don't like Deepak because I know he had some kind of controversy where he was doing something that seemed like it was the opposite of what he was preaching, whatever. And he might be, but that's fine. I still feel like I've found power in some of the things that he's been willing to share. But 7 Laws of Spiritual Happiness by Deepak Chopra. It's a pretty short book, but it will definitely challenge your thoughts and what you think about yourself and life.
Okay.
Biggest thing that I learned in that book, Scott, is we are all typically victims of the external environment. Meaning we have all conditioned ourselves to basically be responding to things that happen outside of us. So Scott called me out of my name, so I threw a punch at him. Mm-hmm. My dad said something I didn't like, so I threw my bookcase through the window. Whatever it is, but we're constantly letting the outside environment dictate our behavior. And after I read that book, like I've read that book about 100 times, I started to try to condition myself to understand if something happens, I might revert to what I typically do, but I actually do have a choice. You could call me out of my name right now, and I could decide to be filled with joy. And a lot of people are going to be like, what are you talking about? You sound stupid, but you can make that decision. We actually have that much power. Do you agree with that or disagree?
100% agree that I'm always responsible. I'm never responsible for what happens. I'm I'm always responsible for my response to what happens to me. And so I definitely try to live by that. Okay. Like, I don't always get it because sometimes, bro, you know, it's just natural instinct gonna kick in but I definitely practice as best as I can to breathe and take control, not give control away. So I try to be in control of me, man, as much as I possibly can. Because I'm like, otherwise you'd be in trouble, man. Otherwise you'd be in trouble.
You know, that's the enlightened 49-year-old Big Stu. You know, and that's good. And you know, I'm at the age I'm at, and I'm finally at that point, right? But
yes,
take some time.
So that's all about that's mental health stuff. Have you dealt with anybody around you? Like, well, I don't want to ask that, but we were talking about the mental health and how these young people were responding to the COVID-19. I heard that, you know, these stimulus checks supposed to be dropping next week. You mentioned that they started sending them out Saturday, huh?
Yes. Everybody out there, the stimulus checks are supposedly on their way. I have read several accounts that said they were started releasing them on Saturday, so yesterday. And from what I understand, and this is highly, you know, this was a poor way for, I think, them to phrase this, but what they said was the IRS, from what I understand, is the people who need it the most are going to get their money first.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how they're going to determine who needs it the most, but that's what I read.
Will we know? Will the hood know who got their check first?
Who's going to get it? I don't know. You know what I mean? So if you got your money, you must need it. You must need it the most, right?
Oh, man. How do they know that?
Yeah. So there's a lot going on with that. So, you know, it's going to phase out for people at certain income levels. You will not be getting $1,200. I think you might get something for a kid or something, $500 per kid that you're filing. But, you know, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is that really helping anybody? So, yeah, you give somebody the $1,200, right? And they get a couple $500 for each kid. Is that really a stimulus package? And is it help anybody?
Yes. Yes, it's gonna help somebody. Yes. Let me not be that dude.
Okay.
And at first I looked down on it. I had to get checked. I was like, $1,200. That ain't gonna do nothing. See, then I got checked. It was like, brother, you better get your behind off your shoulders and stop acting like that $1,200 won't help you out. Okay. It will. Yes. Is it a game changer? For some, yes, man. For some, for some, it might be 3 months' rent, man. You know, for some, it could be, man, like a real game changer. Okay. I was asking my niece what she was gonna do with her money. She got her shopping cart ready, her Amazon cart ready, brother. You know, her Nike cart ready, bro. You know.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, I guess. So you know, and you know, I mean, if I was you talk about someone that's young. Like if I was getting that type of check when I was young, of course, right? You're gonna buy what you want to buy, and then I guess we got this paycheck protection program for all the entrepreneurs out there. I know in our pregame, you and I were talking about, you know, is this going to help our community also to get the money? I've seen examples of some situations where others they're going to get some serious money that it may be arguable whether they need it or not. I don't see their finances, so I don't know, but they're getting a check, right? But I keep seeing where people in our community are saying they're getting denied, and we don't know, like, are we going to get the check for being not, you know? So that's out there.
Yeah. Let me address that. I have some opinions. Mike Tyler says we have to repay the stimulus money back next year. My understanding is no, this is not taxable income. Do you have an answer? Do you know about that?
What I've researched and what I've been told is that if you meet certain conditions, the money will be forgiven. So it's coming down as a loan, but if you meet these specific criteria that's been set, then you won't have to pay it back.
They snuck that in there. Good catch, Mike Tyler. I guess I'll be having to pay that back next year.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, man. I think to answer your question, and I think it slipped me that quick, but I think the answer to your question about is this good money? Is this enough money for that generation? Well, what was your question again?
Well, my question is are these funds going to specifically
the money
help anybody for real?
Yeah, I've heard the same thing you've heard. Like a lot of, supposedly they started to make all the announcements this week, but some people on the early end have said they've been denied the money. But as we were talking in pregame, some cats getting some serious money in, but I think we assume that people don't have money problems when they might. So we don't know.
You and I have talked about that a lot.
Right. So I'll give you an example. I know one of my guys, he went on record, saying he went on Instagram saying he got denied. He owns a prominent boutique here. And if I talk about him enough, people that know me know who I'm talking about, but I don't want to name drop. But if you know, he got denied. And he's been a successful businessman without ever getting money for years. So these other folks that you talk about, maybe you assume they got it together, but really they book show, no, they need that money. They've been needing this money and they straight. This is a game changer. So right. It could be that, and it may not necessarily just be a race card. Well, like,
yeah, it could be that. It could be.
If you can show that your business has been in business and you've been good, I ain't gonna give you the money. Right. But if you've been in business and we know you've been in business, but you're struggling, okay, I'll give you the money.
Right. And that's the whole, people are always quick to say the race card is thrown out there quickly. And I could see how others might feel that there could be some validity to that. We'll have to wait and see when the stats come down about how many people apply, because I do think people are applying, which I think is good. But how many people apply and how many people got the funds? Because it's supposed to be, and you and I were talking about this, a very streamlined process. Show a couple of things, and then you should be eligible to get the funds. We'll see if that pans out that way.
And so I applied for the funds for my business.
Okay.
But then I was talking about, like, I don't even know. I don't want to just take this money and pay no bills with.
Right.
Like, that would be a terrible, terrible appropriation of funds. Right? Yeah. Terrible. And so this other thing that we talked about too is like being in a position where you can know whether or not you can take this money and use it as an investment, like Mike Tyler is saying. But then what are you going to invest in that is going to get you a return? And if you are a business owner and you're taking this money without a solid plan to turn it into something, then you might just be taking money for no reason and incurring a debt for no reason, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, it could be because even though they're saying you might not have to pay it back, we don't know. I mean, that's what they said. We don't know yet. So you could end up having to pay it back. And to your point, now you've taken $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and now they're like, well, where's the money? So, because I'm sure you'll have to sign an agreement basically saying, this is the payback schedule and all of that. So, until it's actually forgiven, you're on the hook. So I agree.
So I may not even want to take the 10,000.
Yeah, you might not want to.
I might not, no, because unless I have but then this other thing is, are you ready to jump into it, man?
Let's do it.
This relationship with money thing, man. Hey, I have a problem with money, man. Me and money have a bad relationship.
You and money have a bad relationship. Please tell me more about that.
I was raised in that manner, man. I was raised that I was raised to abuse money, man.
What do you mean by abuse, brother?
I wasn't taught how to treat it well and put it to good use and make it grow for me, and how to take care of it and count it and know where, but put it in its proper place and nurture it. And I was taught to get it and spend it and chase after it. And the people that have a lot of it, they're mean people and bad people, and money is the devil, but we need money to pay the bills with. So I've been abusive to money. I've been abusive to money, and now I get therapy for the money. That's why I'm talking about this business stuff so much, because and it's just a thing that's something that we don't like to talk about. We don't like to talk about money.
No.
We're not talking about money.
We're not talking about it.
So it don't matter if I get the 10,000 or not. If I don't have a plan to nurture and massage the money so it does well by me, then I always will stay stuck in this place of trying to make it look like I'm good when really I'm not. That's the mental health. That's the whole, like, what is that about? Like, going back to that needing to look a certain way, even though the reality is something else.
I have a lot to add to that conversation. So
we're talking money, sex, Gen X over here, man. What you got to say about it?
No doubt. Money, sex, Gen X. Shout out to my main man, Lamont Curry. I haven't seen him in so many years. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for tuning in. So I was raised we were masters at making people think that we had money. That was in my young adulthood, that was our entire skill set. We were very skilled at making ourselves look like we were, back in the day, that Big Willie. So everybody wanted to look like they were Big Willie status and all this stuff. And that was my mindset at the time. It wasn't necessarily for me about the money. It was about what resources can I try to pull together to appear that I am on a higher status than what I actually am. And that, I spent my entire young adulthood in that space. And was very good at it. I mean, I will say most of the people in my circle, none of us really had anything when you look at the bigger picture, but we were good at, if you saw us on the street, you would think we did. Like, he's getting it. He's doing his thing and all that. No, you're not. You don't have any wealth. You don't have anything. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that mindset, I had to begin to ask myself these tough questions. Like, do you value yourself outside of what you have on?
Ooh.
Do you value yourself outside of what people think about you? Ooh. And honestly, even as a older person, right, I can sit here and tell you I don't care what anybody thinks and all that. That is not the truth, right? You might not care what as many people think, but you care about what somebody thinks. It might be your family. It might be your lady, your wife, whoever it is, but there's somebody out there that you care what they think about you. And I'm just very honest in understanding that. But I feel like when I was younger, the people that I was concerned about was a very big group of people, where now it's maybe 3 or 4 people. There's only 3 or 4 people that I respect enough right now to really care about where they think I am in life. And that's just being honest. But back then it was everybody, anybody and everybody. I was concerned about that. And so to spend that amount of time there and then to find out, I don't think I even value myself. That's kind of hard to accept, but it's reality, Yeah, Mike said peer pressure. Peer pressure is a big deal. And sometimes we always talk about, well, Black people, we're more prone to that than anybody. From my observations, I don't see that that's the case. I think that's a very human thing. What do you think?
Very human. So it's not, again, it's about, so you mean what was the, just like wanting to put yourself in a position that you want to perceive yourself in a position higher or greater than the actual position?
Absolutely.
Do you think that, okay, because I was talking
for the benefit of the audience, whoever that audience is.
Yeah, I was just talking about just like even in the neighborhood, right? If So I talk about the neighborhood a lot because I grew up in the neighborhood. I moved out of the neighborhood, and then I moved back into the neighborhood. So I literally went to the suburbs and did the whole suburban from the, Will Smith, moved out the block, moved to the suburb thing, right?
Yeah.
But then I'm back in the neighborhood, and I talk about this even like among us. There are folk, we're all broke.
Yeah.
But then there are folks that juxtaposition as if they're not or less broke than the folks across the street who we all in the same boat. We all in the same boat. And I do think that it's a power struggle to some degree that is based on perception. Yeah. That is purely based on perception. And it will drive us crazy because it takes, to your point, it takes the focus off what's really important is, aside from all of this, how do I value myself? How much do I love myself with or without this? Like, the clothes shouldn't make me. Right. But there was a period of time where it's like, bro, if you ain't have the right Jabos on, if you ain't had the right Jordans, or you ain't had the right Ralph Lauren, if you didn't have still today with a lot of people, if you don't, their value is based on materialism. Yes, right?
That is true.
But we still don't like to talk about money, even though, Eric, we need the money. Why don't we like to talk about the money?
Cash rules everything around me. Remember that?
$1 bill, y'all.
Shout out to Wu-Tang. It took me so many years to understand what that meant. Cash rules everything around me, but hopefully not me. Right? So you're talking again about the external environment. So cash is king, but when it comes to myself, hopefully in my supposedly enlightened state, somewhat mildly enlightened state, I've gotten to a point where I don't believe that money rules me. I don't believe that. It does to some degree, I'm sure, but it has lessened over time. Because I actually, before I think about money now, I probably think more about the word legacy. It's like, how do you want people to remember you? What do you want your contributions to be? All that stuff, right? But I probably think about that more so than money. But that also could be because I feel like I'm okay with the money. Like, it's not as much of a pressing concern. So your mind may start to go to other things now. And I think about legacy a lot. But the only reason I could perceive a possible legacy is because I actually feel like I have some value to myself now. I value myself. I can, like, I love myself and all that. I actually can say I do think I love myself now. But before, no way.
Before you wouldn't have been able to sit at home on the COVID lockdown because you couldn't deal with yourself. You'd have to get out there and go throw some clothes on and go strut your cocktail, huh?
I say this. I think what I would have been thinking during that time period is, when I get back outside, I'm going to stunt on this person. Yeah, that's what I would have, because I've been in a situation before. Like one time I broke my hip or something and I couldn't go outside. I spent a lot of that time inside thinking about what the stunting reality was going to be once I got back outside. And I did it. But that was the mindset. You know what I mean? Now I'm not thinking that. I'm just thinking, can I go back outside? I just want to go outside. So it's different. But I mean, if you're almost 50 years old, I would hope that you're thinking that way. You know what I mean? Like if you're 50, 55 or something, and you're still thinking, I want to stun on this person. And this is no judgment to anybody out there. None. But I'm just saying, I would hope that, for myself, I wouldn't want to be in that place. Now, do I still have things to work on? Of course. But not that at this point.
I heard you say something about this, and then I want to move to another piece of this conversation. You said back in the day, you had to look a certain way to feel that people valued you, to feel value from people.
Yeah, no doubt.
Versus, so there was a subculture, as Mike Tyler said earlier, I think that was Mike Tyler that said subculture. There was that was DJ Alco, my man Steve up in Detroit. Alco, he said the subcultures in the community that says, "Oh, I'm good. I'm trying to stunt." And then there, in the same neighborhood, there's a subculture of folks that says, "I don't want all that. I don't need all that glitz and glamour. That's not good for you." So they tend to operate out of lack. My question is, what is your relationship with money? How are you in money relation?
I think I feel like I have a good relationship with money. I feel like when I was not even that long ago, maybe 10 years ago, I had a fear of money.
Fear of money?
I've had large sums of money in the past, like I'm sure many of us have, but the money just disappeared, right? You know, you spent it, you did all this stuff. And I remember thinking numerous times right when I got money that you're going to mess this money up.
Dang, that's abusive. Ain't that abusive?
Well, it was the truth, though. I mean, you know, I guess I had enough sense to know, like in that current mindset, you're going to waste all this money. And that going through the whole day knowing you're going to waste something that's supposed to be valuable, that's a lot of stress on you.
But imagine entering a relationship saying, you know you about to mess this up, or going to starting a new job, or you know you about to get fired from this job, or a new business. You know you about like you wouldn't enter into those relationships like that. And generally we are thankful and grateful and we try to take care of it. Why don't we see a lot of that? Because look, a lot of us gonna front like we good on the money, and we might have a nice car and a nice house on the outside, but then if you say open the books, it's negative.
Yeah, like they say, like the young people say, show me some receipts.
Show me some receipts.
You see your IRS filings and your books and all that, your brokerage accounts, and let's see if you're really. No, yeah, I mean, you make a really good point. I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, you know, I think it's just because we're not taught to have a relationship with money. We're taught to have a relationship with probably everything other than that, I guess. I mean, I don't remember having conversations about money with my parents. I remember observing them do stuff, but there was no relationship.
Bro, I remember not ever wanting to go inside of the bank. But I also remember when it switched for me and saying, I want to be the guy that go into the bank that the branch manager knows.
Yeah.
I want to relate with my branch manager. When I have that now at my bank, I go in, I know my branch manager. I call her. She calls me back. I walk in. The teller say, hey, Mr. Stewart, it doesn't mean that my money I'm not the highest account holder at the bank at all. But I did go in with the intention to massage a relationship with the people that have access to all of that money. Right. Yeah. And so without saying my bank, but even just recently, man, I fell into just this year, 2020. 2020, I had 10 overdrafts on my bank account in March. Yeah. That's $360. Yeah. $36 of overdraft. And I had gone a few months with no overdrafts. Yeah. But because I got a relationship with the bank, I say, hey, Miss Woo-Wop the Bam, hey, Miss Benita Applebaum, I need you to reverse those charges from March. We got the COVID. I had some money coming. You see the money came in, the check hit, but it's short this amount. But if you put it back, then I'll be able to be good. I said, no problem, Mr. Stewart. We'll take care of it for you. By the time I got off the phone, looked at my account, it was done.
Beautiful. Beautiful. No question.
I remember not being able to hold on to $20. Yeah. You know, like where did it go? Well, now, you know, I can put up a little something. It's you know.
See, for me, it wasn't about I was okay with the $20. It was just for me when I got the large sums, like $20,000 or $40,000. Yeah. And that takes me to something else I wanted to talk to you about. This whole feeling of, I know something bad is going to happen to me. But like, have you ever had that feeling like when you were younger, like, I just feel like something bad is going to happen if I'm doing too well?
Yes.
Maybe you can relate to that, or maybe you can't. But like, I remember that being you want to talk about mental health. I remember that being an ongoing sort of suppressed fear that I had, that if I was doing too well, something was going to happen. And it's so weird to even say that now, but it's like, you're saying something's going to happen, but your life is a mess right now. Like, what else are you talking about? Dying? Like, but I'm like, son, I can't do this so well. I don't want the smoke that comes with doing too well. Ooh, I remember thinking that.
It's the same today, though. Like, I wouldn't feel, even today, and I think in this conversation that we're having about money, sex, Gen X, and mental health, we're talking a little bit about that today. Like, I think low-key there's a piece to like, nah, you definitely don't want to shine too tough in the hood.
Right.
Because there is a stigma that,
take it.
They watching you. Like, somebody, like, they not gonna let you breathe. You know what I mean? Like, they watching, so. And then if you get out of the hood, are you a traitor to the hood because you left?
Yeah, are you a traitor to the hood, and are you a traitor in general if you have shed that mentality? Like, I think there might be a guilt that some people feel that they're not doing bad anymore. Have you ever felt that? Like, you know what? Like, I'm doing good, but I feel guilty because so many others are still out there struggling. Is that a thing, or is that just something I was thinking?
I think it's called survivor's remorse. But I got
survivor's remorse.
I got a voice of one of my big homies, Mo Love. He would say, man, he out. You know what I mean? Like, you don't owe the hood nothing.
Right.
You owe yourself, you owe your family to feel safe and feel protected. Bounce. Like, it's time to go when because the hood ain't gonna have no love for you.
Absolutely.
So you gotta go.
You are rocking with the Money, Sex, Gen X podcast. If you like this conversation, please like, comment, share. Please feel free to chime in. We love to know what you all think about this conversation about mental health. We started out talking about COVID-19. We kind of transitioned into what we were talking about, value of self and money and all this different stuff. And we're really squarely conversating right now about, I would say, where do we go from here, right? So you've overcome all of these mental things that were holding you back. You got a better view of money. Now what?
Now what? So what's your now what? Let you go first. What's your now what?
My now what is this podcast, because I want to continue to publicize these types of conversations. The conversations that you and I have had, and I've had with others in my network, I've had these conversations for many years, but they were private. And so the now what for me, I want these conversations to be public. I want to be able to tell the truth, and the people that I'm talking to, like yourself, to tell the truth about their experience, the truth that you're willing to reveal. Whatever we're revealing, it is the truth, hopefully. I definitely believe that that's the case with you, and that's what I'm attempting to do. And let people hear it. I mean, we're two Black Gen Xers. We have a lot of experience under our belt. If I was a millennial or Gen Z, I would be wondering, what did those guys go through? What are they thinking about? They have children. They're in relationships. They have thriving businesses. Like, what's in their mind? And so I just want to put that out there for people to consume if they choose to.
That's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. And again, I'm probably to be the more transparent one playing the wingman, but I'm a Gen Xer. I want to be transparent. I want other people to learn from me and learn from my mistakes, and I want to be accountable to my generation, to my peers. I've had many ups. I've been highly successful in school. I've been highly successful in corporate.
Yeah.
And if I step back and take a look around and look back at my life, I can literally say I've had it all and I've lost it all. And I'm on the kind of the climb back in almost every way that you can imagine, so I'm divorced, now 5 kids, and down, just like really, really committed to building it all back on just a much more solid foundation.
Yeah.
Where wealth can stand and generations can live off my back, man, you know.
How do you feel about yourself, though?
How do I feel about myself? In what regard?
So, you know, we spent a lot of time talking about our younger selves, and you just explained very eloquently, you know, what you're looking for in the future. I just wonder, when you're envisioning those things and acting them out in your head, how are you thinking about yourself? Are you saying to yourself, you know, I'm capable of making these things happen? Are you saying, I don't know, I want these things to happen, but I don't know if I can make it happen? You know, like, what's your relationship with yourself now?
I think that's a very, very good question. And I go back and forth on that, depending on what part of the day I'm in or where I'm at for the day. But I think my ambition is huge, strong ambition, right? So sometimes my goals scare me. My ambitions intimidate me sometimes, but I think that's because they're God-sized. It's my hope that I experience everything in my lifetime, but I imagine that I'm continuing to set the path for, you know, little Daniel here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So when he's 50, when he's my age, you know, he would have accomplished everything that I started. He would have continued it and left some for his shorties. You know what I mean? So I see myself as the worker. I see myself as focused and committed. I see myself as one of the guys who not only started it but continued. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm in play, man, and it's not easy. You know, it's not always fun, but I am enjoying the ride and committed to getting the work done. How do you see yourself? How do you feel about yourself?
Wow, I didn't even anticipate answering for myself, but yeah, I'm glad you threw it back on me. How do I feel about myself? I would say I feel good about myself. I put a lot of pressure on myself, I would say. I don't even think in a bad way, but it's like when you get to this age, you know what you're capable of and what you feel like you're not capable of. And I continue to feel like I'm capable of more and more. And so I put a lot of pressure on myself. Like, one thing I was talking to you about last week, one of the things I admire about you, you're a published author. And, my daughter is even continuing to read your book, you know, about the Stewisms, right?
Yes.
It is unacceptable for me. I am a good writer to not have a book out. And so, like, that's an area when I look at myself, I'm like, yo, you need to get this book out. You need to get one book. I've written several books, but they're not published. You need to get one of these books out ASAP. And I think I'm able to say that to myself because of the relationship I have. Like, I know I'm capable of doing it. I'm in a pretty good space mentally, but I think I've always had a fear of releasing the work for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, consciously, I would say it wasn't fear, but I do think deep down there was some kind of fear there as to why I'm not a published author yet.
Okay. So we're going to get you.
So what do I think about I'm brutally honest with self. I'll say that.
So are you going to get this book done or when is the book coming out?
So thankfully, my daughter, Asia.
Shout out to Asia.
Shout out to Asia. Asia, you know, your children push you in ways that you wouldn't even imagine, right? Mm-hmm. So my daughter is actually a fantastic writer, and seeing her write, she's working on her first novel. It has pushed me, her and I created a book of poetry that I'm about to drop in the next couple of days. It's coming. Yeah. So I'm going to have it out. So I will be an author in a few days, right?
Okay. All right.
And you pushed me too. Like that time, remember that time we met up on 53rd and Hyde Park and we were talking or whatever, and you pulled the book out. And I'm like, yo, this dude got a book of his own.
This one right here.
Yeah, you got your own book that you can just pull out of your backpack. I just thought that was fly. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of stuff I think is fly now. You know, I don't care what you got on and none of that other stuff. You have your own thoughts written down and you can hand it to somebody. And you remember, I bought the book right on the spot. I'm like, yo, let me can I buy that one? And I want to be able to do that. and it's coming, in a few days. So
congratulations, brother.
Congratulations. Thank you for the inspiration, man. I appreciate that.
Man, I'm happy for you. That's what this is about, man. My work is done. Yeah. I want to do more of this. Yeah. Remember last week we were talking about what being 60 looks like. 60. You were saying you don't imagine working and you on the beach with a drink. Like I'll meet you at the beach, but sometimes I'm gonna still do this work because I wanna plant them seeds. I want to keep getting them seeds out there, man.
I admire that. I'm still sticking to what I said. I'm done. I'm done. I'm on Belize, Amber Grisque, on the beach.
Wow.
Done. So, and that's the pressure, right? Because if that's the case, I only got a few more years to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get it done. Sure.
I believe it. I hear the conviction in your voice, man, when you talk about it.
No doubt.
That's that mindset. That's that mental health, man. You got a strong-willed mind, man.
True indeed. And associating with people like yourself, it just makes me stronger, man. I mean, we have all these cliches about when you interact with other strong people, but it really is true. The people who are creatives, they're always going to inspire me. You know what I mean? I just, like I always talk about Dame Dash. I don't know what his financial position is. It doesn't really matter. What I like about him is he's always creating something. A TV show, an album, something like I'm one of those types of people. I like to create. And I want to create this. I want to be an author. I want to be able to say I'm a published author. Eric McLoyd, published author. That would make me so happy, man.
Well, Mike Tyler says he thought about writing the book. It sounds like he's about to get out of there. He says, great conversation. Mike Tyler, you got to get that book out. Now you got to join the club. Get that book out, bro.
Mike, get it out. Man. Yeah, man. We got to do it. It's important. It's important work.
Hey, Eric, you, by the way, you were talking about Dame Dash. So I went and checked him out. I went and gave him a listen.
What was he talking about?
He was talking about DDS, Dame Dash Studios. I watched a couple of interviews with him. I understand him in ways that I never understood him before.
Okay.
He talked about his dog. He talked about his diabetes. He talked about his staff. He talked about his motivation. I have a newfound great deal of respect for Dame Dash that I did not have last week.
Oh, good.
So I want to thank you for suggesting it and putting me on to Dame Dash. Much respect, Dame Dash. I love what you do. I love, what you've contributed to the culture. So I just want to let you know that you put me on to Dame in ways that I wasn't on to Dame. So appreciate that, brother.
Shout out to Dame Dash. And if you're out there, don't get caught up in that situation he had with Jay-Z. Whatever that was between them. Both of them are geniuses. They're very smart businessmen. But Dame Dash is the person that I continue to draw inspiration from simply because I like the way that he articulates the message. Now, I want to ask you as we wrap up here, and I'm going to share my person first, but who are some other people that you listen to on social media for inspiration? Because we were talking about what's next. I'm going to give you two of mine. I really like Jay Morrison. I don't know if you're up on him. Mm-hmm. Jay Morrison is he does real estate at a very high level, and his whole platform is dedicated towards teaching people how to do real estate. How to be a landlord and acquire wealth that way. Very entertaining. He's a great trainer, so he has courses that you can purchase and all of that stuff. Very good. I follow him, and I also like Dr. Boyce Watkins. I don't know if you're up on him.
Yeah.
Those are two people that also inspire me.
Okay. I was trying to get my son to be interested in his school. I bought it once. I bought his real estate class last year for my daughter, for one of my daughters, but she didn't follow through.
Is this Boyce's class?
Yeah, last year for that business school.
I put my son in that. Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter, I bought it for her. She didn't finish it.
Okay.
So my 11-year-old, my other son, Trent, I'm waiting on him to tell me, because he knows he can't tell me that he's gonna do it and not do it. But It has to be up to him. I can't force on it. My son is 11, and he's studying real estate now.
Wow.
So he wants to own his first property by the time he's 17.
Okay.
That's his goal today. Who also is a published author. He has his own book on Amazon as well.
Man,
so
that made my day. Yeah, man.
So Du Bois Watkins, I know. I listen to a lot of Abraham Hicks, man. Mm-hmm. A lot of Abraham Hicks. I listen to her almost every day. And I don't know if I have a second really go-to, but it's still between my Les Browns and my E.T. Eric Thomas. And
yeah.
Also, Abraham Hicks and Eric Thomas,
okay.
is who I'm listening to right now.
Eric Thomas recently, they brought him in to do some motivation for the LA Lakers or something like that, I read. So he continues to inspire so many different types of people.
Yeah, he's dope.
He's not somebody that I listen to really, and I don't know why. It just doesn't resonate with me, but I have an utmost respect for Eric Thomas and his whole platform and his whole team. I've actually taken trainings with some of the people from his team. But yeah, no doubt. If you're out there, check out Eric Thomas, Jay Morrison, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Abraham Hicks. And yeah, these are some of the people that help and push the culture forward.
That's right. That's right.
So you got any final thoughts as we wrap this episode up? This is episode 2 of Money, Sex, Gen X.
Hey, man, I just feel like today, we kicked today's ass, man. Like, we've been going at it, man. So my final thoughts is, man, they're kind of all over the place, but get it done, man. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Get it done.
Yeah.
Get it done, man. Get it done. No excuses. Get it done, man. That's what it is, man.
Okay. I like that. My final thoughts for the day is this: for everybody out there, we're all in the same boat. Obviously, we can't move around like we used to or like we want to. Use this time to figure out how to improve your situation, specifically the money. The world is changing. We're seeing it. Even after this COVID-19 situation is done, things will never be the same. I'll give you something very simple. A lot of people who went into the office to work, they're going to continue to work virtually because they're going to figure out, man, we can cut costs by just having these people work from home. It's not necessary. And so we have to be diligent every day in figuring out how can we keep up with the shift that's about to happen culturally in the world. And ultimately, how can I use what's happening to increase my income, my wealth, my legacy? My name is Eric McLoyd. This is Money, Sex, Gen X, and we will see you all again next week. Peace.
Peace.